Hi, my name is Tyler Brooks. Welcome to the Directorate of Flight Safety Crash Scene Hazard Management video series. In this video, we're going to review the use of personal protective equipment, or PPE. Previously, we reviewed the crash matrix in detail, including control measures for each category of crash scene hazard. Control measures can be grouped according to their effectiveness. This is known as the hierarchy of controls. In the hierarchy of controls, while PPE is essential, it is actually considered the last line of defense and the least effective method of controlling hazards. More effective methods of controlling crash scene hazards include elimination, engineering, and administrative measures. For example, a variety of chemical and biological hazards may be eliminated by decontaminating the site with a water or 10% bleach solution. Explosive hazards may be eliminated by explosive ordnance disposal teams. Burned carbon fibers may be stabilized by applying a fixant or soil tackifier, such as water, ice, firefighting foam, or a 10% acrylic floor wax solution. In addition, exposure to all categories of hazards may be reduced by strictly limiting and controlling access to the site. In short, multiple control measures should always be considered on a crash scene in addition to the use of PPE. However, when used properly, PPE is an essential control measure that protects individuals from all categories of crash scene hazards by preventing direct skin contact, ingestion or inhalation, absorption through mucous membranes, and injury due to sharp, penetrating, or crushing hazards. PPE can also make decontamination easier by providing layers that can be washed off or removed for disposal. PPE may also offer psychological protection by providing physical separation from the crash scene and reducing exposure to distressing stimuli, such as smells. Components. As we have seen in the previous videos, crash scenes can be quite different, and hazards can vary in type and severity. In order to effectively protect against a variety of hazards, DFS recommends having a selection of PPE components that can be mixed and matched to best suit the conditions. While your organization will identify the exact specifications of your PPE, in general, PPE consists of the following components: respiratory protection, eye protection, head protection, coveralls, hand protection, and foot protection. Filtration masks are the most common type of respiratory protection used on aircraft crash scenes. Filtration masks primarily prevent the inhalation of harmful physical particles, such as burned carbon fiber. However, some filtration masks can also be equipped with filters to prevent exposure to specific chemical hazards. Filtration mask options include N95 type dust masks for protection from inhaled physical particles only, half masks with appropriate filter type, full face masks with appropriate filter type, or, for military members, issued C4, C7A gas masks with appropriate canister. Masks should be fit tested by an accredited agency regularly. Note that the masks listed here must not be used in low oxygen environments. Self-contained breathing apparatus is required in such hazardous areas and is beyond the scope of this video. Eye protection is intended to protect the eyes from harmful physical and chemical exposures. Eye protection options include safety glasses, safety goggles, or full-face shields, possibly as part of a full-face mask. Head protection may be required in some circumstances to protect against overhead hazards. Head protection options include hard hat or helmet. Coveralls are an outer layer of clothing that prevent direct contamination of the skin and any clothing worn underneath. Coveralls can make decontamination easier by providing a layer that can be sprayed clean or removed for disposal. Coverall options can include disposable woven fabric suits or impermeable suits such as rain suits. Hand protection prevents direct contamination of the skin and makes decontamination easier. It may also be layered to provide protection from physical injury when handling sharp or penetrating objects. Hand protection options include nitrile inner gloves with or without the addition of leather outer work gloves, or impermeable gloves that protect against oil and chemical contact. Foot protection prevents direct contamination of the skin and makes decontamination easier. It protects from physical injury when walking amongst sharp or penetrating objects or crushing hazards, and may also be required to provide thermal protection in cold or wet environments. Foot protection options include steel-toed and steel-shanked chemical-resistant work boots with or without disposable covers, or steel-toed and steel-shanked chemical-resistant rubber boots with or without insulated liners. DFS recommends having a variety of these PPE options available to mix and match, depending on the conditions at the site and your crash matrix assessment. These PPE options can be grouped as standard orders of dress. For instance, DFS uses the following orders of dress for PPE. Low-risk PPE is for relatively clean sites, such as intact aircraft interiors and hangar spaces, where there is little, if any, contamination and only nuisance dust. Non-impermeable coverall, N95 dust mask, nitrile glove, hard hat, boots with boot covers. High-risk PPE is for contaminated sites, such as a crash with a post-crash fire, injuries or fatalities, and broken or fragmented aircraft wreckage. Impermeable coverall, taped, full face mask, hard hat, nitrile gloves with leather outer gloves, steel-toed rubber boots, or rain suit, taped, gas mask, helmet, nitrile gloves with leather outer gloves, steel-toed work boots. Of course, these orders of dress for PPE can be modified as necessary to suit the conditions at the crash site. Donning is the process of putting on PPE. There's no specific order for donning PPE. However, DFS recommends the following practices. Work with a partner to make your donning easier and to double-check your fit. Select PPE that is large enough to cover any environmentally appropriate clothing you must wear underneath. Inspect your PPE for damage before donning. Use 2 sets of nitrile gloves, even if you are using outer leather gloves. Place cuffs over the nitrile gloves and boots to prevent liquids from running into gloves and boots. Use tape to seal cuffs and zippers if necessary. Make large coveralls smaller by taping a handful of material rather than by wrapping tape around the body. Use a marker to identify team members if necessary. Doffing is the process of removing PPE. If any decontamination is required, it will take place before doffing. Unlike donning, there is a specific order to doffing. The help of 1 or even 2 partners during doffing will make the process easier and reduce the chance of accidental contamination. Step 1. Remove outer leather gloves if worn. Step 2. Lean forward and remove head protection if worn. Step 3. Unzip coveralls. Step 4. Carefully roll off the coveralls to contain any contaminants. Work from head to toe. Step 5. Remove outer set of nitrile gloves. Step 6. Bend over and remove mask and goggles. Step 7. Step out of contaminated boots into clean boots if necessary. Do not touch clean boots with contaminated gloves. Step 8. Remove inner set of nitrile gloves. If any accidental contamination occurs during doffing, be sure to immediately decontaminate the affected area and inform the supervisor. Decontamination methods will be covered in another video. Always remember that PPE is the last line of defense and least effective control measure in the hierarchy of controls. As such, PPE should be used in conjunction with other control measures, including elimination, engineering, and administrative controls. Also be aware that PPE can itself become a hazard. For instance, PPE can impair communication between team members, impair vision, hearing, and touch, worsen heat stress and dehydration, even in cool environments, worsen fatigue, create trip and fall hazards, create a sense of psychological isolation, and impair the ability of team members to monitor each other for signs of distress. PPE is not a suit of armor. It can be damaged or fail, and a decontamination process should be available if this happens. However, when used properly, PPE is an essential control measure that protects individuals from all categories of crash scene hazards. This concludes the DFS review of personal protective equipment. Thank you for watching.